Hello.
Hello, hey, hi, hello. Welcome in to, gosh, is this episode 3 or 4?
No idea.
I don't remember. It's one of those episodes. Virgo Advisor podcast. Welcome in. I am Jen, and this is Miss Laura.
I'm Laura. I could just be Laura too. I want to be Jew today.
For some reason, I'm enjoying the miss. I don't know.
Perfect. We'll keep it. I'll be a
Yeah,
teacher.
there's that. As long as it doesn't bother you any, I'm completely fine. But for some reason, every time I go to say your name or write it in the newsletter, I'm like, it's Miss Laura.
Yeah, I don't mind. I just it was the first times I'd heard of it. Anywho's, I'm Laura, any which way you call me.
Valid. I'm oiling my cuticles again, as we do every time we get on here.
Oh, I should start doing
Anywho,
my nails when I do this. Mine aren't as fabulous as yours. Okay, we are here to talk about your favorite subject and mine,
Laura's my
psychic
gatekeeper, y'all. Okay.
psychic abilities and confidence because they
Yeah.
go hand in frickin' hand.
You can't have one without the other. And if you do, you're not going to get very far anyway. So here we are.
Yes, and that I think is something that I was actually saying to another person yesterday. One of the biggest benefits of working with a psychic mentor is that the confirmation, so that you don't feel a little cuckoo bird about the things that you're experiencing and the things you're playing with. But I have gotten ahead of myself. We'll get to that in a second. So
I feel like you're
everybody,
right on time, not really ahead.
oh, okay, fair. But I have a list. Um, Jen, is everyone psychic?
Everybody. Everybody's got that thing, right? So, I mean, does that mean you have to be staring at dead people in your closet and talking with them and communing with the spirit? No, but psychic is that intuitive hit, right? It's that gut feeling. I have never met a single soul in my 41 and a half years of living life on this planet. Ghetto. I've never, where did that come from? I've never met someone who didn't at least have like a gut feeling.
Yeah,
I've never. Have you?
no. But I
Exactly.
think people actually understand or believe that that's part of their psychic abilities.
As someone, moi, with heavy sacral authority, aka my sacral chakra, which is my lower belly, folks, okay? Um, Almost all my intuition comes through my gut. I get a stomach ache, I'm looking around because it's rarely what I ate. It's either the energy I'm dealing with, or it's things I'm thinking about, or it's people that have been in my physical space that I don't like, or now I'm realizing I don't like. Like my gut does not lie.
Yeah.
When I'm doing those yes nos on lives, those come from my gut. I don't think people. I would agree with you. I don't think people recognize that that truly is. That's clairsentience.
Yeah.
That's a clair. That's what it is. And when I say like my yes or no's when I'm doing those yes or no's on lives, they do come from my gut. And so when you see me go, you'll notice I usually shift positions in my chair as well. And A, that means you're asking a question that you're not being truthful about. Or B, you're not asking the full question. So I get a lot of, does Brad love me? And when I'm like, when my head flips and I go, oh, and I start moving around, what we figure out is you haven't talked to Brad in 3 years.
And now you've
Brad,
decided today is the day to ask me about
yeah, yeah.
it.
And it's always me going, but why would he love you? Are you together? And so it's when I start doing those that it's like, they're like my gut has a different answer. Like that's not the question you really wanted to ask,
Mhm.
but it is at the same time because you want to be loved anyway. But it all comes from the gut. Absolutely, it's a very strong psychic sense.
So, but not everyone obviously knows that that is a psychic sense, but also not everyone has their sacral as their yes, no. People have other senses that would be their yes, no's, but they also, some people just have all of their clairs. Those of you playing the home game, if you don't already know, you probably do if you're listening to this, but your clairs are, they're five and they're connected with your senses, with your psychic abilities. So seeing, hearing, smelling, feeling. I'm missing one.
Knowing, knowing.
Knowing. Yeah, that's a good one.
I just know shit.
Yeah.
Like that is my strongest Claire. I just know some shit. Um, and I just say it. I just open my mouth and say it. That one takes a little more confidence than hearing. That one takes a little more confidence than even feeling, because do you feel anxious or do you feel your intuition? Where is it hitting your body, right? I think a lot of people discount some of their natural body movements. Leaning back from someone is a big no. Leaning away from someone or a question is a big no. Leaning in, I'm intrigued. Leaning in, yes. And I think if people recognize their body language more, they would realize how psychic they become.
Yeah, and that your body compass is will not lie to you. It will tell you in which direction. Your brain, yes. So that I think is a good segue to and you already brought up our favorite A word, anxiety. So that song is everywhere. It's so
Yes,
good.
yes.
Okay, so when people start to feel or notice their psychic abilities, their intuition, how do they know when it's their brain versus anxiety versus perhaps their higher self or source or spirits or whoever they're talking to?
You have to train yourself for that. So you have to keep going, you have to keep trying. Because the thing is you first have to recognize that the actual intuitive answer is the one that you jumped over.
Would hold on, you were gonna jump over that. What does that mean?
The intuitive response that you're looking to get, the answer you're looking to get, is always that one or two word answer that you jump over in your mind to pick a pattern and an answer that aligns with the previous pattern.
Got it. Because you're when you're in that process of looking, it's like I already answered because you didn't have to get the full question out, my friend. I knew where you were going. And then you tried to look and then you tried to backtrack to be like, wait, was that? And they're like, did I stutter?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Um, how do you know that it's your not your brain?
You don't.
You don't.
Actually, you do. So, one really great way to know that your brain, your ego, will make a whole complete sentence and it'll be a really pretty paragraph and it has all the words filled in. And your intuition, yes, no, go there, turn left, bye, hi. If it's more, I'd feel comfortable saying if it's more than 5 words, most likely that is not just your intuition.
Mhm.
So think about that too, for those of you who are listening who have gotten readings from me. So understand that spirit gives the answer. I put it into terms that you will understand and that you will appreciate, because they truly are like, no. But they give the feeling and the emotion behind the why. So then we take that and we provide you with your reading,
Mhm.
right? So when you're learning to listen into your intuition, you have to understand they're not being mean, they're not being rude, they don't have a fucking concept of that, okay? What it is they're giving you the answer you're asking for. But see, you want further confirmation and you want more detail because it couldn't possibly be that. Yes, it is. Go do it.
Mhm. And also with the people that I read with online, it also usually shows up that nearly, I was gonna say 100%, but now I feel like I'm at like 98.9, already know the answer of the question they're already asking.
Mhm. Yeah.
Why don't they
Yes.
trust? Yeah, why don't they trust that? Or are they just looking for confirmation, do you think?
It's both. So it's both because most of the time when people are getting readings, it's about really personal things, right? And they usually have themselves set in a pattern of which they want to receive the answer they won't.
Mhm.
And I can pretty much promise you, including for my readings for my own self, that the reading you're going to receive rarely fully aligns with everything you want it to.
Yeah.
So, number one, you're getting an answer you might not want.
Yep.
So then we don't trust that. Number two, what I found most often with y'all is it comes too fast. So it can't possibly be right. I must have made that up. I don't think people understand how fast the intuition wheel works. I'm not playing when I'm answering them yes no questions, boom, and it takes no energy. Boom, 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 because it just comes.
Yeah.
When I'm like, oh, what? It's when you're asking a dumbass fucking question that you already know is not the question. Or when it's like multifaceted. It's like that's just not a yes no. Like you try to phrase it as a yes no, but there's like things here, right? So it's meant to be fast, but you have to hone that skill inside of your gut.
And that's where the playing and the practicing, I think, comes in. I think too, that's where the being able to later give confirmation, right? So just this past weekend, I got another nudge about those of you who know me in real life. I'm now talking to animals as well. And I talked to my neighborhood owl friend. Um, and he brought to me conversations that I had with people where I heard your voice, glad we got there. And I was like, okay, thank you.
My
Um,
favorite phrase. Glad we got there.
glad we got there. And I knew because it had just happened like within 48 hours what glad we got there. We were referencing, and I was like, okay. But then back to back, there was another conversation. But together it was, oh, your confidence and your saying and what you're doing aren't meeting up, friend. Right? But he didn't say that to me. He was just like, this thing and this thing, friend. And I was like, ugh. But to be able to go back to you and say, these are all the things that came up. This is the first time that I actually, in the moment, had a thought come up that was referencing a moment that ever happened, and I knew 100% it wasn't me. That is a weird feeling that it feels really good to be able to ask someone else about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that often when your mentees are learning and getting confidence that your a good portion of your role is just to like ask questions and confirm like, yeah, that did really happen?
My entire job as a guide is literally me going, yeah, yeah. But then I usually have extra behind the yeah, right?
Yeah.
So they give me, and they would give y'all, but they're gonna give it to me at this point because you're gonna ignore it. But they give me the rest of the, and this is why you got there, which is also my favorite phrase. Glad we got there. Because sometimes I will just question and then allow you guys to work your way to it because it's important for you to figure out the step. But the majority of my time on this device I pay for, where I'm responding to folks, is me going, you already fucking know that's right. And here's why you know it. And yes, it's accurate. A lot of you downplay the information you get, truly downplay, and you don't see the full blockchain of it. And it's like you only saw this, but I'm going, oh, but you missed this.
Mhm.
And that's how we got here. And that's beautiful. And so yeah. Yeah, it's tons of I used to call myself the confirmation queen.
Yeah.
I have the confirmation, but I also have the details, right? And so a lot of people to get that confidence, because this is not the only thing someone would not be confident in, right? Because it's a general self concept, general, you know, human experience, really. But it's about really boosting that confidence. And if you can have someone that you can count on to literally be like, well, that's fucking stupid. No. Or absolutely, you're fucking right. And this is why all of this, that's helpful. Because then you can start to discern, ooh, and I knew how that felt. One of the girls gets a ton of body confirmations, a ton, goosebumps, and the way the goosebumps hit her body has different. She's figured that out now. Where
Mhm.
they hit and how they progress has different connotations for what she's confirming or denying for herself. It's a lot, but yeah, no, it's all confirmation too.
I think the if we were to have like a list of like the unintentional things that happen when you start to play with your psychic gifts, I do think that confidence comes in because it's not only just when I'm like, let me go talk to an owl or let me do cards on TikTok. It is also it transfers into the rest of your life and everything you do in alignment, right? So your confidence in knowing that you're going in the right direction is like so exponentially bigger, better, greater because you as a person are tuning into the world differently.
2000%. If you can start in one spot and claim, own, and embody the energy of you can't shake me on this, that translates.
Yeah.
I mean, I moved to where I am based on following my intuition and also my kids' intuition.
Yeah.
Not many people would fucking do that. So it's literally getting so confident in yourself that you know you're not going to tell your parents you're moving until you're in the U-Haul. It's knowing that you're not, you
Just to
know,
be super specific.
just saying. So, but it's about like, honest to God, I could give a reading right now to someone, and if they were to say to me, none of this is accurate, my answer would be, come back to me in 6 months.
That changes. Yeah.
And now I might call you and be like, I can't believe this person's thinking this shit's accurate. But it would never be, oh, I must have gotten it wrong.
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's so cool too. And the personal development portion. So even if I think about this a lot, is how to make this accessible to like the regular person, because what it means for your life and your decisions. And most of life is decisions. I hate to say it. There's some joy, but you still have to choose to have the joy, friend. So sorry. Um, so it's not even if you're just like, I think I might be a psychic and I might want to do stuff in a business or be an intuitive or be an energy healer or any of those things. It is just like really common sense life tools that if everybody spent a little bit of time in their life, they'd be so much happier.
It's factual character development.
Yeah.
You don't like who you are? Probably you're ignoring a lot of portions of yourself. You can't like who you are if you're not showing up authentically.
Same thing if you don't like where you're at or the job you're at, the relationships you're like all of that, it's all connected.
Yeah. It's all based on your self concept. And if you don't have something in your life that boosts your self concept, your self esteem, your self worth, what do you got? How do you figure it out to make that change then? I would hope that the folks who come and hang out in my places and spaces figure out that they are intuitive enough to have a deep inner knowing that no one can shake about at least something.
Yeah.
Something. Like, what is that for you? Is it energy work? Great. Is it just knowing that you are personally on your own correct path because you feel it? Great. It would be life altering for the average person to have something intuitive that no one could take from them because everything else in life could be taken. Your home can be taken, your car can be taken. Somebody can come up and be like, well, I'm taking over this and that role at work and blah, blah, blah. But they can't take your intuition.
Yeah.
So
So everybody's psychic, everybody has psychic abilities. Does everybody have the ability to use all of theirs, or are some people just more prone to a couple no matter what?
they can all be leaned on. And it's about recognizing like how yours work, right? Um, do you have them all? Yeah. Are some people just not going to be open? I have a girlfriend who's psychic as fuck, and she's like, I don't want to see dead people. I don't see it. I am unavailable for that. Okay. Oh, okay. I don't care. But the rest of her stuff is just like just it rolls. Okay. So she doesn't.
So that's probably true that everybody has like not only choices to make in it, but also where they're going to just sort of be naturally connected towards. Like everybody's gifts are very different. So even you next to someone else who does psychic things, energy things for their life are going to look, if we could like draw a diagram of your skill sets, they're going to look very different.
Yeah. Is there going to be some translation there and overlap? Of course. But the way your gifts work are based on you. And that also means your life experience.
Oh, that's
My
true.
life path is not the same as yours. So mine are going to work differently.
Mhm. It's awfully nice to hear that you're gonna do an intro to psychic, everybody's a little bit psychic workshop on April 7th.
Yeah. It's time because I think more and more people are recognizing that there's more to like this. Like there's a reason that y'all want to get readings. There's a reason for all the things, right? And I think the more we can approach life from a more intuitive standpoint and the more we can focus in on what helps us feel better internally, which is always connecting into your higher self, your intuitive self, um, the easier things become. So we're going to talk about that.
This confidence, okay, I feel like you and I were both ahead of the average Joe in the confidence when we came to the planet. And I don't know if that was our past lives or what got us there, but something happened, and I felt this for a long time about myself. Something happened where I just showed up to the planet and I was like, yeah, I can figure out pretty much anything. I know that. And
Hmm.
that's not the way that the rest of the world, and that's not me being I'm trying not trying to be ego, and just really came with that. I don't know why. When I think about people working in their psychic abilities, I think it does give them a big old boost in that they can take on anything in the world.
Absolutely. Because using your intuitive abilities, you can get the answer. They'll give you the path. They don't just drop you in a field and they're like, it's like Survivor, figure it out. Uh-uh. They give you a path. It's up to you whether you want to follow it.
Mhm.
Are there roadblocks and are there this and are there that? Yep. That's called a human having a human experience.
Which we have to keep doing because that's why we're here.
Right. But I do think it is the way my life would change if other people who sought out my services, so the listener, had the confidence that I had. That'd be different. We would be doing completely different readings.
Mm.
We'd be having fun, friends. It would be a joy to see your psychic expansion. It would be a joy to see you activate and pop off and doing all of these other things because, oh my God, I've honed in, I found my path, I know my way. And that's what you get from opening. Your abilities are already open. You just have to recognize that they're open. You've been using them. Um, but the way things in everyone's life would shift, because a lot of folks are coming at things from, I love this as an example. How come so and so doesn't love me? You haven't talked to them in 15 years. I don't know. I don't know. If we went from that to talking about your growth, where you're at on your path, and watching your gifts show up for you and honoring I mean, that shit's fun.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff. That's the stuff I like about you guys as mentees. Is that you're all psychic as fuck. And that's why you're here working with me. And then watching you guys, when you got activated and then when you got all the things that you're working with. And as that activation grew and as you made it your own, because everyone does, that's the purpose. And watching how you guys can play in that energy. I think that's the piece that people are missing. I think they think like the psychic gifts are supposed to be like big, bad, and heavy, right? Fuck that. It's fun. When I tell you to go out and play, my one mentee who's moving from fucking where the fuck does she live? Down south somewhere. She's moving here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your first month as a new mentee, your first month is you have to take that ride intuitively. She lit up. She was like, oh my God, really? And I was like, yeah. I mean, maybe you need to have a plan for a hotel or whatever. You know, okay, fine. It's several days because she got dogs, right? So maybe you should have that. But like, I want you to play with that. What does it feel like to honor your intuitive energy? Did you need to stop there? Well, I want to make a good time, but did you need to stop there? What did you need to fuel your body for the long ride? Because that's different too, right? So it's playing in that. I mean, I gave her a whole list of stuff, and she was like, "I'm this sounds so stupid, but I'm so fucking excited to see how this goes." I'm
No, no,
like, "No, you're not."
yes, that was one of my days too, where you're like, no plan, no nothing, get in the car, start to feel what you're drawn towards, what you're pulled away from, do the same thing at the grocery store. I mean, it's an incredible, and obviously you set it up very well, and there's a lot of
Yeah,
conversation around it, but like
yeah,
that being guided into your own confidence, your own intuition, you can't really, I mean, hopefully this is conveying to those that are watching in some way, but it's just really cool.
yeah. I mean, that's how my kid and I found where we're living. We drove in a grid, and where we didn't feel good, there's our boundary. We don't
Nope.
go past this road. Where do we feel good here? Is it this side of the highway? Is it that side of the highway? Turns out it's both. Okay, so it's more of a north or south boundary. Okay. And that's what we did.
Yeah, I
And
love that.
anybody else probably would have thought we were fucking nuts. But we both were linked in this, being that we knew like and there were certain spots where he felt better than I did. And I'm like, I'm not buying nothing over here. Or I'm not renting nothing over here. No. And
Mhm.
he's like, no, it doesn't feel bad over here. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, and now that we're here, he's like, no, I see the difference. And then when we drive other places, like we go back into the city, he's like, I'm like, yeah, bro. Yeah.
Feels different, doesn't
It
it?
does. It literally, but there are still parts of the city that do feel good to both of us. We have different spots, but um and that's part of the reason why we didn't really talk to anybody about moving because how we were going to do it was going to be different. The youngest kid was at his dad's. We weren't putting that in the mix. We knew it was time to go, and this is what we did. And we insisted on only looking at things in this area. When my parents were like, well, if you want to move, this was before we told them we were, if you want to move, you should come up here. Well, up here is about an hour away. We don't want to live up there. So we're just not going to talk about that. We'll be down here. And literally, we just were pulled here. He reminded me of this space. He had shown it to me previously in an ad or whatever. And I was looking heavily at the places right across the road. And it was like, it feels right, but these aren't right. Well, no kidding. So
You
here
were
we are.
close, but not quite.
Right, right. And then, this won't be forever either. This was definitely, we're here for a reason. But the next one we'll figure out, but whenever that is. But it's definitely very different. And a lot of people don't want to understand what that feels like. But it's liberating to lean into your intuition and allow it to guide you for some of your bigger life things.
Do you think they don't want to, or do you think it's that they don't know it's possible, or is it both?
It's both, and then it's hard to trust.
Yeah.
Because are you really going to lean into what your body feels like when you cross a road to decide where you're moving? Me, yes. Yes, I am.
Well, yeah, now that your sacral authority is so very, very loud and specific.
Yeah. It's very specific. Like we literally knew the next cross street over, if we crossed it, it was too far.
Yeah, that's crazy. In the best of ways.
Yes. But I think oftentimes people want to make decisions based on cold, hard facts. But I will tell you is that no one ever actually makes decisions based on cold, hard facts. They're presented cold, hard facts, and then they use their emotions to guide them, whether they're the good emotions or the bad emotions. That's up to you.
Yeah, and who said what about it, and what preconceived notion has come, and what happened 4 years ago with the same conversation. Like the amount of things that our brains attach to some of the seemingly stupid decisions. Yeah, our brains cannot be trusted for anything.
No. Case
My
in point,
body
our
can.
emotions conversation the other day.
Yes,
Plump. Okay.
done.
Dog.
I'm over.
Yeah.
Is confidence something similar to intuition where it's like a practice? You have to keep sort of like removing the layers to get more and more of it so you're more confident?
Yes, but not necessarily with everything. I do firmly believe and see in real time where people are just more confident in certain things in life than others. So starting with what you already know you're confident on and in, and allowing that to really get concrete and then expand into other things. Um, yeah, that's really the way to go. But I think everybody, for the most part, should have at least one thing in life that you can't be shaken on. But what I'm discovering is a lot of people don't know what that is.
So April 7th, 2025, for not very many dollars, because you really want to give as much of the value of getting people started to acknowledge they're all psychic.
Yeah.
What time did you say? I forgot.
8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific. Wait a minute, we just had the time change. Is that still accurate?
I am not great at that. My calendar does all of that for me, but it feels like if you said 8 p.m. Eastern, the rest of them would be able to figure that out, but I couldn't tell you.
I would assume.
Because then Arizona doesn't always do it.
That's the part. And then my parents used to live in Arizona, but now they live here. And so now it's,
Yeah, but they'll go to your website and they'll register for it anyway, so it's fine.
and it'll tell them what time.
It will tell them. And it's what did we name it? Everybody's a little bit psychic.
Yep.
Yeah, because you are.
Absolutely.
That sounds so good. What any other things about psychic abilities and how everybody you want them to all use their intuition?
I feel like we covered a wide variety of things, especially with the way my brain goes. Whoop. But I think if you guys start really focusing in on your decision making of everything, you're going to start to realize how many places where you are intuitively making choices.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's important to start acknowledging the foundation of your confidence, the foundation of your spiritual gifts, and then the foundation of your confidence in your spiritual gifts would be to start acknowledging where you're already in play. And then acknowledging, like, hey, but that's actually working.
Yeah.
Because you weren't in your own way. You didn't realize you were doing it. It's when you get in your own way that we have the malfunction. So, starting with that, recognizing truly, I mean, I use this example all the time, but like you went through the drive through and you just felt like you're supposed to check your ship. There was a long line, you just left. Got up the road, you didn't have your nuggets, man. And they told you to check, bro. It's like, it's just those little things. And people discount that stuff. Well, I've been burned here before. Of course I should have checked. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, no, but your intuition told you to check. Because did it tell you the last time?
Yeah. And we are so fast to dismiss I wonder if everything's in the bag,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we have so much practice not listening to it and less
Mm-hmm.
practice listening to it, that's where it feels like when people show up and want guidance on making big giant decisions, that always shows up for me as that's because you haven't been practicing the little stuff. You're not hearing it for the nuggets. How are you going to hear it if you're supposed to take the job in Australia?
Facts. Facts. I will still say, like, there are still times now where I heard to do something and it could have been something so insignificant. But I had heard it and I thought, that's stupid. Sure shit. Less than 24 hours later, I should have fucking done that. And it's always is so not to say I'm not above it, right? Because there are still certain things where it's like, oh, that's fucking dumb. Okay. Well, it would have saved me 10 minutes and me yelling at 5 people because I am a yeller. Um, you can't love and light that away, folks. It's how I was born. Okay. So and it's still there. But if you can't intuitively decipher checking your fucking McDonald's bag or whatever, or your Chick-fil-A, we're Chick-fil-A people over here. If you can't check the Chick-fil-A, but Chick-fil-A rarely gets wrong. That's very true. We'll stick with McDonald's. If you didn't check the bag and you didn't even think about it, but you did think about it, but you ignored it, you're not going to trust yourself.
No, because those the that's the I think that was the thing that took me the long. Is that true? Doesn't matter. The trusting that the things that drop into my head are things to be followed through on
Mhm.
versus what the already busy chitty chatter. That was a big old road to try to walk between.
It's one that people really would do best to hone in on. I mean, honestly, and I mean this very seriously. You know, Jameson had his tonsils out. What was that in October?
Mhm.
And they insisted that he have an overnight stay, but it was not a medical insist. It was some arbitrary rule that I'm not going to follow. But I kept leaning in and I kept leaning in, and I knew he wasn't staying the night. It had nothing to do about a bill. It had nothing to do about nothing. He didn't need to be there. And in fact, he needed to actually be at home. And they wanted to argue and they wanted to argue. And finally, I laid it down and I said, he does not need to be here. There is no medical reasoning. I am declining. And if I knew he had to stay, we would have stayed. There would have been no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah,
But I literally heard better served at home. I'm out.
perfect.
And they tried everything. Oh, your insurance company might not cover the surgery if you leave. I said, hold.
I don't deal
United
in might.
Healthcare.
I don't deal in might nots, friends.
Plus, I know you're fucking lying. Are you kidding me? You think the insurance company wants to pay for my kid to stay overnight? No, bro, they don't. The guy on the insurance line was like, I've not heard of that before. Me either. Just checking. And what's your name? And please note this call. Thank you. Okay. You know, they tried. And it was like, my intuition was so strong. You couldn't shake me. But just like when I know he was sick, my intuition was so strong, you couldn't shake me.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt that you're also a medical medium.
Correct. Correct.
Just for those viewers, Jenn does have a couple more skills in her skills bag besides just her intuition.
Correct.
But
I knew my
yes.
kid had RSV 80 hours before they could confirm it with the test. And I was insistent. I said, the next time I show up at this hospital, you're keeping us. And they were like, only if you have to be here. 7 days later, we went home. Told you people. Anyway, so yeah, that is different. But what I'm getting at is I don't think people realize just how much intuitive energy can be used moment by moment. And it's really to make your life not only easier, but also to actually be the path you want to be on.
Because that's the goal.
Yeah. So anyway, come hang out because everybody is a little bit psychic. $5.55. That's all I'm charging for the class. 90 minutes max, probably 60. I always buffer it for 90 because y'all got questions. That's fine. Yeah, if you can't make it live, the replay is always available. Everybody gets the replay the day after. So
If you've registered, you get the replay.
oh, naturally.
Obviously.
But not obviously. So thank you for reminding them. Yeah, you have to register for the class to get the replay. But everyone who comes to the class, whether they were there live or not, everyone who signs up for the class, whether they were live or not, gets the replay. So it'll be a good time. We'll lean into some of this stuff, and you guys will probably end up leaving realizing just how often you're using your abilities without recognizing it.
Which is so cool. And then we get to see you play with your psychic abilities.
Yeah.
All right. That feels good. Thanks for hanging out, y'all.
Yes, thank you. We enjoyed it immensely, and we shall see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.